everyone, I am Dr. Sonal Jain from Department of Anthropology, University of Delhi. In this series of forensic science lecture, today we are talking about how a cybercrime is being conducted and how we can investigate the cybercrime. When we talk about the cybercrime, there is a term cyber defamation. This occurs when defamation takes place with the help of computers or the internet. For example, someone publishes the defamatory matter about someone on a website or sends email containing defamatory information to all of that person's friends. This is mostly nowadays being conducted where someone's video is being recorded. In previous decades before, 1 decade, 2 decades before, there used to be the video SMS, we used to call it as MMS, that has to be gone viral. Nowadays, there are various pictures and videos which are the pornographic material. They can be used as to defame someone using the computers or the internet. Internet harassment has become a concern for many people. This form of harassment includes directing obscenities towards others as well as making derogatory comments based, for example, on gender, race, religion, nationality and sexual orientation. These days we have many social media platforms and people are continuously fighting based on their religion remarks, nationality remarks or the sexual orientation remarks, whether they belong to the third gender, they are transgenders or different races, or they talk about the gender equality where there it is no equality. So, on all these bases, if the harassment is being taken place, then we call it as the internet harassment if we are using any medium which uses the computer or the internet. Usually, this type of internet crime can take place often in chat rooms, through news groups and even through the sending of hate email to targeted mailing list, or sending a WhatsApp group broadcast message also comes into this list. Another major thing is hacking. Nowadays, as everyone is owning a mobile phone, the hacking is directly being done, sending a small link through the WhatsApp, and if you click that link, your mobile phone will be hacked. And then the criminal can take full control over your phone. He can use that phone to call someone, to send the messages to any other person, and the other person will think that your messages is coming directly from your phone. This is also known as cracking, and the government websites are the hot targets of the hackers due to the press coverage it receives, and hackers enjoy the media coverage. Then the child pornography. This is a whole black market web. The internet is being highly used by the abusers to reach and abuse children sexually worldwide. As more homes have access to internet, more children would be using the internet and more are the chances of falling victim to the extraction of these pedophiles. Another important cybercrime is the DOS attack. This is an attack by the criminal who floods the bandwidth of the victim's network or fills his email box with spam email, depriving him of the services he is entitled to access or provide. What he can do in this? He can flood the bandwidth of the victim's network, fills his email box with the spam email, deprives him of the services he is entitled to access or provide, and uses a technique called spoofing and buffer overflow. Then cyber terrorism, as we have discussed earlier also, that the terrorist attack on the internet is by distributed denial of service attacks, hate websites, hate emails, attacks on sensitive computer network, etc. And the technology savvy terrorists are using 512-bit encryption, which is impossible to decrypt, and we cannot tell that who has launched this email or from where it has been originated. Next one is the software piracy, where the theft of software through the illegal copying of genuine programs or the counterfeiting and distribution of products intended to pass for the original. For example, the software piracy include the end user copying, hard disk loading, counterfeiting, illegal downloads from the internet. Phishing is another form where acquiring information such as username, password and credit card details by disguising as a trustworthy entity. So, India is among the top 15 countries hosting phishing sites which aims at stealing confidential information such as passwords and credit card details. Nowadays, every person is using the social media. Cyber stalking is one of the crime which is being conducted. It is the use of internet or other electronic means to stalk someone. That means the other person is continuously looking at your profile and making some comments over it, and these terms sometimes can be used interchangeably with online harassment and online abuse. Another one is the virus dissemination. a program that can infect other legitimate programs by modifying them to include a possibly evolved copy of itself. The viruses can spread themselves without the knowledge or permission of the users to potentially large numbers of programs, so many on many machines. Typical action of virus: it erases all your files from the computer, scramble data on a hard disk, cause erratic screen behavior, halt the PC, and it keeps on replicating itself inside the computer. The most prevalent are the UPI based frauds, where the fake collect request fraud is there. Victim is tricked into approving a payment request, believing it to be a refund or credit. It will come as the link will come as collect money, and when victim will click on it, the money will go from his or her account. Nowadays, QR code scam is another one. The fraudsters, they send QR codes claiming money will be credited, but scanning debits the account. So, it is preferred, instead of using the QR code, you are just input the phone number and then transfer the money. UPI ID spoofing: creation of look-alike UPI ID resembling the trusted merchants or contacts, but the UPI ID is different. For example, it will look like that you are sending money on a UPI ID of some bank, but that would be a spoof ID just containing the name of your bank. For example, HDFC Access will be there, but it won't be the original ID. Same happens with the websites also. Remote screen sharing fraud, where victim can install apps allowing attackers to initiate UPI transactions. Phishing based financial frauds are SMS email phishing, fake messages posing as banks, RBI, income tax or KYC alerts. WhatsApp phishing, links claiming cashback, refunds or account suspension. Fake banking websites, cloned websites capturing login credentials. Whenever you just put that you want the website for SBI bank, you put it into the Google, the first website which will come, you will click on that, but that would be a fake banking website. And when you start putting your username on that or your password on that, that will be taken by the person who has cloned that website. Voice phishing, we also call as wishing, calls impersonating bank officials or customer care, where they say we are calling from this particular bank and your account is being suspended if you will not click on this link or whatever, and then they try to take the sensitive information from you. Based on the debit credit card frauds, the card not present fraud, where online misuse without the physical card, they will take away your card number and then make the transactions. Skimming, we know that ATM devices, they captured the card data. There could be a skimming device which is being attached to the ATM machines, where you want to extract the money from that particular ATM, and it will take data and then being further used by the criminals. OTP bypass fraud, the social engineering, there is to obtain the OTPs where it could be bypassed. And international card misuse is the small repeated transactions to avoid detection. There was a famous case where a person used to detect passes a very little amount of money from different bank accounts. For example, he was just reducing the 50 paisa from each and every one bank account. So, we usually not see the last figure, how many paisa is there, like 50 paisa, 80 paisa, 90 paisa, the last amount, and he did that from the millions of accounts. So, no one even noticed. So, using that repeated transactions and very small amount, not even in rupees, in just paisas, if you are extracting from someone's account, that is unnoticeable. So, in such cases, the criminals, they are making use of that. Then nowadays, the online investment and trading scams are being there. Fake trading apps or websites, victims show fake profits before being blocked. They will create a WhatsApp group and show that if you will invest in this, then I have received this much profit. Those persons who are involved in that WhatsApp group will be a team of 10 or 12 people, that another person say that you invest in this and you will receive a profit. The other person who belongs to their team will write, yes, I have received profit, this is working, I have put 1000 rupees and I have gained 1000 rupees back. So, don't get involved in such fake trading apps or websites. Similarly, that is also being worked upon the Telegram, WhatsApp investment groups. They are coordinated scam networks. Crypto investment frauds, unregulated platforms, they promise the guaranteed returns, but it's not there. IPO allotment scams, where are the fake allotment confirmations which demands the payment from you. Along with that, there are some loan and credit frauds. Instant loan app scams, where illegal applications harvesting contacts and extorting the users. Advance fee loan, where fees is taken but loan is never given. And credit card score manipulation fraud, where fake agencies charging you for improving scores, that we will improve your credit card score and in return you will get the loan from the bank. E-commerce and marketplace payment frauds, sending fake payments, screenshots, fake buyer frauds, that they will make their own payment and said the payment is being done, and when the payment is not being done. Refund fraud, the exploiting the refund policies. Non-delivery, payment is made but goods were never delivered. Fake customer care numbers found via search engines or ad, but they never being taken care of or no one picks the call on that. And the next is SIM swap and account takeover frauds, where the mobile number is being hijacked to intercept the OTPs. Account takeover, email, UPI or banking app is compromised, and the social media account is being hijacked for money, asking contracts for urgent transfers. So basically the WhatsApp followers, the persons who are Instagram, very active on Instagram, and they have million followers, their accounts are being hijacked and they are being asked for the urgent monies transfer so that they could release their amount, otherwise all the followers will be lost. So in such cases they make the money transfers to the criminals. Along with that, there are some identity based financial crimes, where the KYC fraud, the use of forged Aadhaar PAN card for bank accounts, mule account operations, accounts open to launder money, and synthetic identity fraud, that means combining real and fake identity elements, and they can be used for the financial crimes. There could be some ransomware and digital extortion. Ransomware attacks includes the demanding payment, often crypto. So extortion is threatening exposure unless paid, and deep fake financial extortion, AI generated impersonation for money demands. That means they will give you your voice sample to AI, and AI will generate a voice similar to yours, and then if they will use that voice to call another person, and they will think that you are only calling, and in that case they can take the money from the other person. So forensic computing, flaws and risk is in its emerging stage. Examination of digital evidence is so far different from general forensic evidences. Cyber crimes are categories mainly in two different terms, such as the internal attacker and the external attacker. The internal attacker, these are the internal staff which will breach the trust of organization, and the external attacker, these are the outsiders from the organization by some personal information or intention of hired by any internal member to destroy the reputation of that particular organization. So when we say the digital forensic investigation life cycle, it works in a different way how the other evidences which are being analyzed. So whenever we reach the crime scene, we have to take all the whichever they are available, all the devices which are present on the crime scene, we have to take list of all those evidence, the incident, how it has been taken place, we have to collect the data from that, data examination, data analysis, and finally we have to file the report for that. So it includes the media, data, information and the evidence. So forensic investigation is divided into various stages to track the computer crime. In step 1, the firstly investigator has to identify the crime, place of system along with other tools that are used to commit the crime. Secondly, they have to build the chain of custody and acquires the evidences. Thirdly, once the investigator acquires the evidence, need to recover the data, create its image, duplicate and replicate. Fourthly, they has to analyze the all evidence through the experts or various softwares which are present, and then time to present the result of analysis to juries for concluding with original evidences. Now we say that digital forensic investigation has become a tool that law enforcement utilizes to follow and take legal actions to the cyber criminals. Digital evidence, when we say, is the data that establishes that a crime has been committed, can provide a link between a crime and its victim, or can provide a link between a crime and the perpetrator. But is it possible to identify who has committed the crime? It may be or may not be. In certain cases, it is possible that we can identify who the criminal is, but mostly cases, as we say, it is not so much illegal, so the criminals usually get run away. The digital crime scene, the electronic environment where digital evidence can potentially exist. Primary and secondary, there could be secondary digital scene where the first attack has been planned and the second attack has been conducted. So we work on the various principles. Firstly, as we have discussed, this digital evidence is extremely volatile. we have to take care a lot while collecting this evidence. Once the evidence is contaminated, it cannot be decontaminated. The court acceptance is based on the best evidence principle. With computer data, printouts or other outputs readable by sight and bitstream copies adhere to this principle, and most importantly, chain of custody is crucial. So, the cyber forensic is based on the 6 principles, which are: when dealing with digital evidence, all of the general forensic and procedural principles must be applied as we do in other forensic cases. Upon seizing digital evidence, actions taken should not be changed, not change that particular evidence. When it is necessary for a person to access original digital evidence, that person should be trained for the purpose. All activity relating to the seizure, access, storage or transfer of digital evidence must be fully documented, preserved and available for review. An individual is responsible for all action taken with respect to digital evidence whilst the digital evidence is in their possession. Any agency which is responsible for seizing, accessing, storing or transferring digital evidence is responsible for compliance with these principles. So, while in computer forensics, we have to first identify, preserve the evidence, analyze the evidence and then present that evidence in the court of law. To produce evidence in the court that can lead to the punishment of the actual, to ensure the integrity and to focus on the response to high-tech offences started to intervene. Now, what is evidence in the case of the digital evidence? An item does not become officially a piece of evidence until a court admits it. Much of forensics practice concerns how to collect, preserve and analyze these items without compromising their potential to be admitted as evidence in a court of law. Forensic involves collection of evidence as an important part for investigations. There are 5 rules for evidences. Firstly, it should be admissible, must be able to use in court or elsewhere, authentic, evidence related to incident in relevant way, complete, exculpatory evidence for alternative suspects. For example, supposedly you have collected a video from a video camera which was being installed and it is being cut between the different time zones, then that is the evidence which is not complete. So, we have to make sure that the complete evidence should be submitted in the court of law. Reliable, no questions about authenticity and veracity. Believable, clearly easy to understand and believed by a jury. So, any data that is recorded or preserved or any medium in or by a computer system or other similar device that can be read or understand by a person or a computer system or other similar device, it includes a display, printout or other output of that data. Digital evidence, when we say, they are of different types. One is the persistent data, meaning data that remains intact when the computer is turned off. For example, the hard drives which are present in our computers or in our laptops, disk drives and removable storage devices such as USB drives or flash drives. So, these are the hard drives or the disk drives. We should be collecting those data from the crime scene. Volatile data is that it would be lost if the computer is turned off. For example, any deleted files, computer history, the computer's registry, temporary files and the web browsing history. So, whenever the computer is being switched off, this volatile data gets a reboot and we cannot see what are the deleted files which are available or what was the computer history. So, we have to see the persistent data as well as the volatile data. So, mostly when we reach at the crime scene, then we do not plug off the computer. We just take out the main plug so that there should be the data, volatile data also remains on that. We not systematically turn off our computer. There are top 10 locations for finding evidence: internet history files, temporary internet files, Slack unallocated space, buddy list, personal chat rooms, records, other saved areas, news groups, club list posting, settings, folder structure, file names, file storage dates, software hardware added, file sharing ability and different emails. These are the places where we have to look for the evidences. For the persistent data and volatile data, there are different tools which are used to collect data. An essential toolkit should contain backup, authentication, decryption, disk editing, log file auditing, IP tracking, data recovery and file examination. tools which are being used are dependent upon what type of data has to be analyzed. For example, the common tools which we used are DriveSpy, NKS, Forensic Toolkit, iLook, Norton Utilities and X-Rays. These are the different toolkits which are being used for the collection of the digital data. We use cross-drive analysis, related file analysis and the live analysis. Firstly, we go for the acquisition, then identification, evaluation and the presentation. For the computer forensic application, the persons should have the following skills: programming or computer related experience, broad understanding of operating systems, strong analytical skill and strong computer science fundamentals. Strong system administrative skills, knowledge of latest intruder tools, knowledge of cryptography and stenography, strong understanding of the rules of evidence and evidence handling, and ability to be an expert witness in a court of law, where after analyzing the data, he should be able to present it to the court of law. For computer forensic tools, we should have the disk imaging software, hardware writing tools, hashing tools, file recovery programs, programs to preserve information in RAM, encryption decoding software and password cracking software. This ability to search through a massive amount of data quickly through any language is the advantage, whereas the disadvantage is that digital evidence should be accepted by the court. It must prove that there is no tampering. That is the important point we should keep in mind, that evidence should not be tampered. All evidence must be fully accounted for, and the computer forensic specialist must have complete knowledge of legal requirements, evidence handling and storage and document preparation. The cost of producing electronic records and preserving them is extremely costly, presents the potential for exposing privileged documents. Legal practitioner must have extensive computer knowledge for the same. There are many cybercrime activities which commonly include the secure collection of data, identification of suspect data, examination of suspect data to determine details such as origin and content, presentation and the application of country's law to computer practice. There are basically 3 A's which believe on the methodology of this: acquiring the evidence without altering, authenticating the image, analyzing the data without modifying it, which includes identification, collection, bag and tag, preservation, examination, analysis, presentation and report. Firstly is to identify the evidence and potential containers of evidence. Small scale devices, non-traditional storage media, multiple possible crime scenes could be there, not operating from a single room. We have to identify the devices which are being used in that, and then we have to seize those devices. Identification, context of the investigation is very important. Do not overlook non-electric sources, for example, manuals, papers, printouts, etc. Care must be taken to minimize contamination, collection and seizing the items. Create forensic image, live or static. Do you own the system? What does your police say? The whole, if you have the so many monitor as well as the CPU, then it is directly being turned off from there. Collection, the documentation, whatever you have collected, the devices from the crime scene, they all should be documented properly. Take detailed photos and notes of the computer monitor. If the computer is on, take photos and or what is displayed on the monitor. Do not alter the scene. Make sure to take photos and notes of all connections to the computer or the devices, where all it is being connected to, all the wires, the back of it. Rule of thumb, make 2 copies always, and don't work from the original, work on the copied made copy. File copy does not recover all data areas of the device for examination. Working on a duplicate image preserves the original evidence, prevents inadvertent alteration and allow recreation of the duplicate image if necessary. Digital evidence can be duplicated with no degradation from copy to copy, so you can make multiple copies, and this is not the case with most other forms of evidence, as we can talk about in normal physical evidences. We should take the write blockers, software, hardware. Hardware write blockers are becoming the industry standard, USB, SATA, ID, etc. But still they verify prior to the usage. We take the bit for bit copying captures all the data on that copied media, including hidden and residual data. Often the smoking gun is found in the residual data, we should be taking note of that. Imaging from a disk to a file is becoming the norm, multiple cases stored on same media, no risk of data leakage from underlying media. Remember, avoid working for original, always work on the copy and use a write blocker even when examining a copy, so that you should not tamper the evidence. How do we demonstrate that the image is a true unaltered copy of the original? A mathematical algorithm that produces a unique value that can be helpful in that. It can be performed on various types of data. Value can be used to demonstrate the integrity of your data. Changes made to data will result in a different value, and the same process can be used to demonstrate the image that has not changed from time 1 to time n. Finally, for the examination, higher level look at the file system, representation of the data on the media. We can verify the integrity of the image using the mathematical tools, and we can recover deleted file and the folders. We have to determine the keyword list, what are we searching for, determine the timelines, what is the time zone setting for the suspect system, what time frame is of importance. Graphical representation is also very helpful. So, we first shut down the computer, document the hardware configuration, transport the computer system to a secure location, make bitstream backups, mathematically verify the data, document the system date and time, and make a list of key search words. Evaluate the window swap files, evaluate the file stack, evaluate the unallocated space or the erased files, search files, file stack and unallocated spaces for keywords, document file names, dates and times, identify file, programs and storage anomalies, evaluate program functionality and document your findings. Cybersecurity policy, when we talk about in India, there is an IT Act 2000, amendment came in Act 2008, Act number 10 of 2009, and the National Cybersecurity Policy in 2013. There are certain IT Act 2008 which deals with the tampering of the computer evidence, computer related offences, 66A, punishment for sending offensive messages, and punishment for dishonestly receiving stolen computer resources or communication devices, 66C for punishment for identity theft, 66D punishment for cheating by personation by using computer devices, 66E punishment for violation of privacy, F for punishment for cyber terrorism, and section 67 punishment for publishing or transmitting any obscene material in electronic form which might lead to the harassment of that person. So, for good and accurate results, forensic investigator must have to follow the following rules: examine image of the evidence most as possible rather than the original evidence, strictly follow the rules, manage a chain of custody, never exceed the knowledge base of the forensic investigation, and make sure to document any changes which are present in the evidence. So, to conclude, the today trends of cybercrime environment and forensic application in digital investigation is rising and varying in scale. The hypothesis acceptance is that the proof of quality of investigation to identify, preserve, extract, interpret and infer the appropriate data in relation with the crime. The various organization, administrative and legal circles are well known about digital evidence, but courts are facing the challenges in general by digital evidence that has been common in both civil and criminal cases. So, as an outcome, it has become extremely essential that global developed and established standards are situated in position to make sure that the reliable application of digital forensics around the globe should be there. And finally, we should make everyone aware of these cyber crimes so that the criminals are not able to apprehend the victims. Thank you.